All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. I'm your host, King Jules, Julian Smartrimple here for another very special edition of the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. A shout out to all of our smart jewels that are tuning in via Wisdom. If you're listening to the replay on Clubhouse, or if you're just listening to our podcast episode on any of the platforms that we stream to YouTube, Facebook, we appreciate y'all rocking with us this evening. We're going to be literally winding down season 4 very shortly. So shout out to all of our previous jewels that have been a part of our phenomenal season. I'm excited for what we have coming next as we go into our 200th episode, you all. We're literally about to be introducing a whole different flow for the RTJ show. And so I'm excited, you all. But we're definitely locked and loaded, ready to go to finish off this season strong. And so if you are listening to us for the first time, the RTJ Lifestyle Show was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn wisdom on how to shine brighter in their careers or their businesses. And so shout out to all of our young professionals and also entrepreneurs who have been with us throughout this season. And if you are a potential guest that is a young professional or an entrepreneur that is killing it in your industry, whether you're a millennial or Gen Zer specifically, feel free to sign up with the link that we're putting in our comments section right now below, you all, to fill out our interest form, and our team will see if you have what it takes to be able to shine with us for season 4 or even our next season coming up. And so we appreciate you following the jewels with us in this season for season 4, you all. And so if at any time you have any questions or any comments for my very special guests, whether you're listening to us on Wisdom or here with our live stream, feel free to put it in the comment section below, or you can come on the stage for our Wisdom listeners and you can ask any questions that you may have for my very special guests. And so without further ado, we are rocking and rolling throughout this season. And so this evening, we are going to be talking about a lot of things when it comes to investing and investing your money, specifically in real estate. And so tonight's title for the episode this evening is The First Steps to Become a Wholesale Real Estate Investor. And so if you are a real estate investor currently right now, or if you're looking to go into real estate investing, you're going to be learning about the whole wholesale process of, again, getting into wholesale real estate. And literally, you're going to be hearing from an expert that I'm about to bring on the screen so you all can meet my very special guest this evening. Share this content, like and subscribe to us on all podcast listening platforms. We release new episodes each and every Tuesday. And so definitely go and listen to our previous and current episodes for our podcast that we are releasing each and every Tuesday. But tonight's episode is the first steps to become a wholesale real estate investor again. And so I'm about to bring up our very special guest. I met this king via Instagram, saw that he was literally having heavy marketing and promotion around wholesale real estate. And actually, I believe one of my colleagues and business associates that is into real estate here in the city of Atlanta had recommended this very special guest that we're bringing on this evening. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to Mr. Ty Franklin. Ty, how you doing this evening, King?
I'm doing great, Julian, man. Appreciate you for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming and running the jewels with us for tonight's episode, King. We definitely want to always start with a short introduction for those who may not know you, Ty, but they need to know you after today. Can you let people know where you're originally from, Ty? Also where you currently are right now, where you reside, and also why this is an important subject for you to discuss with our audience tonight, King.
Absolutely. So originally born in Brooklyn, New York, moved down to Atlanta when I was about 11 years old. So right now, currently, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And the reason why this is an important subject, man, is to be completely honest, this wholesale real estate industry, this game, this trade, I would say, it changed my life. I went from working at a corporate job for 7 years. I jumped into the wholesale real estate space, and literally after about 7 months, less than a year, I was able to kind of fire my boss and create my own business. And recently, just opened up my own office. So it's important because it'll give you opportunity to create your own business, your own streams of income, network and connect with other people, and eventually get to that point where you're building wealth for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important for those who are listening, especially to find different wealth generators, just like Ty is speaking on the subject with wholesale real estate. And he's going to be walking us through his journey and how he became an investor in real estate. And so if you're just tuning in with my very special guest, Ty Franklin, we're going to be talking about, again, the wholesale real estate investment opportunities that he's going to walk us through step by step how he got into wholesale real estate. And so if you have any questions for Ty, feel free to list it in the comment section. If you're watching us on the live stream right now, or wisdom listeners, feel free to chime in if you want to chop it up with Ty and ask any questions you may have on wholesale real estate. But Ty, let's start from the beginning, King. Like how did you get into real estate? Did you have a mentor? Did you have parents that brought you in, family or associates? Like how did you get brought in, and also who was inspiring you to get into real estate from the beginning?
Yeah, so my real estate is pretty simple, man. The way I got into it, my first property was the one that I bought, right? Obviously, you live in apartments for, your college years and a little bit after that, and you want to, get your own house, right? So the first initial property that I bought was a townhouse. That was kind of like my first piece of real estate. And literally within a year and a half, I had to sell it because I overpaid for the property and couldn't afford it at a certain point. And I sold it and I made a profit. So that kind of woke my eyes up a little bit and kind of, showed me a little bit of power of real estate in that aspect. And eventually how I got into the wholesale space was, I was, obviously you go through your journey. Pandemic happens, my 9 to 5, I worked as a logistics freight broker, middleman in between multi-million dollar and billion-dollar companies trying to get their shipment, and middleman and over to truck drivers for a profit. My account started going down the drain. I started losing a few customers and a few clients, and that kind of started to affect my pockets. From there, I had to look into ways to invest in real estate, right? So I went on YouTube, went on Google, looked, and literally I Googled, how to invest in real estate, little to no money, and I found wholesaling. Jumped on YouTube and I jumped down a rabbit hole of wholesaling, right? Watched hundreds of videos, put in a lot of hours of watching those YouTube videos just to understand the process, and realize that process was the same exact process that I was doing in my career at the time. And I just needed a different product, and I needed to understand the terminology essentially. And the way, there's a lot of people that inspired me to do it. A lot of the people that I followed on YouTube, like the Maxwell's. If people in that real estate space, you know who I'm talking about, but like Maxwell, Grant Cardone, like those big power players when it comes to the real estate space. So that's kind of how I jumped into it.
Absolutely. I love it, man. It's always a lot of real estate investors or real estate entrepreneurs that we've had on previous shows that always give shout outs to Grant Cardone. So shout out to, again, Grant Cardone and the other trailblazers. And I know, even coming from basically a New York state of mind, coming down south, I'm sure you looked at the transition of seeing how much real estate you received down south versus up north was transformational in itself. So talk to us about, like, what are some of the things that opened your eyes to real estate and seeing how much land, how much property value, how much equity you may get in homes in the South versus where you came from up top in New York?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts from the apartment level, right? Like, you know, in New York, a 300 square foot, 400 square foot apartment, you know, you're paying $2,500 for that. You know, you move down to Atlanta, you're paying, you know, $2,500 going to get you, well, certain areas now, but at the time, $2,500 is going to get you, you know, 3 times that size of space, you know, 3 to 4 times that size of space. That's on the apartment level. Now, when you're talking about the housing market, you know, you get more for your money down here than you do up north, right? Obviously, you know, the prices of everything is high. Everybody knows that. New York is expensive. California is expensive. But the thing about New York, everything is so compact. Everything is so tight. It's like the value you're paying is not really worth it. When you come down here, you can pay less and get more. So, you know, you get more acreage, you get more space, you get more room, you get bigger houses, you get nicer houses, things like that. So that's kind of what opened my eyes to it. And, you know, from that point, you know, you start understanding that it's way more affordable down here than it is up there. And this is kind of where you want to be.
Absolutely. And I forgot to mention, shout out to NYC. Ty, my mom, she's from Jamaica, Queens, and born in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy area. But shout out definitely to NYC and up top. I know the Nets just got put out recently, but it's still all love for KD and Kyrie, man. Shout out to Brooklyn. Absolutely. We definitely going to be continuing to chime in on the step-by-step process that you went through, Ty, to get into wholesale real estate. But each and every episode, we do highlight a VIP sponsor that sponsors our episodes for the podcast show and vidcast series. And so we're going to highlight who our VIP sponsor is for tonight while we let Ty get a quick commercial break and be able to come back ready to go for the second half of our interview. So let's take a look and see who our VIP sponsor is for tonight's episode. And shout out to those who are listening on Wisdom. So for those who have been tracking with us any length of time, you know that we do highlight small business owners and entrepreneurs that want to have their brand showcased on our podcast show. Of course, there is a fee that we do charge for our sponsors and community affiliate partners, but tonight's episode sponsor is Get Gains or Get Gone Apparel. You can definitely see the link in the comment section to get some new workout gear and fitness gear for the summer season or even for the end of the year. And so shout out to Get Gains or Get Gone Fitness Apparel. You can go and visit them at getgainsorgetgone.com. That's getgainsorgetgone.com to see what new workout and fitness apparel that they have showcasing for this season. But shout out again to our VIP sponsor for tonight's episode. But back to you, Ty. We always want to break down, just like you've seen, how you got into the real estate market, because I think a lot of people are still afraid. It's very interesting still post COVID that a lot of people are still afraid to get into real estate. And so, like, what have you seen are some of the reservations of why some regular people, some business professionals still may hesitate to get into real estate still with the way the market's looking right now?
Yeah, I think fear is primarily because people don't is the fear of unknown, right? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 years from now. So, you know, with the real estate market so hot and prices are so high, I think the main fear that people have as far as like actually buying property or getting into it is you know, if I overpay today, the crash might happen tomorrow, right? But the thing is, no one can predict the future, right? So it's like a crash haven't happened yet, right? So it's like you might as well get in while you can. You know, and one of the main things, like a quote that, you know, a lot of people in the real estate space say is, you know, don't wait to buy real estate, right? Is buy real estate and then wait. You know what I mean? That way, when you buy it now, the equity starts increasing over time, especially with the market being so hot. If you buy some property today, hell, 3 months from now, you can probably gain about $10, $20, $30,000 worth of equity because the house next door, somebody done overpaid for it. So, and then, you know, so I think the main thing people, and it starts with fear. I think the main factor of fear is just not knowing and the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely. And that's probably something that I would even definitely co-sign with you, because I've been tied to tax lien conferences, and even I went to the Rich Dad Poor Dad conference / summit that they had here in Atlanta a couple years ago. And they told us that wholesaling is one of the easiest ways to literally tiptoe into real estate. And so for those that do not know what wholesaling is, Ty, can you break it down, like what the simple definition of wholesaling is, and also how can one start in wholesaling and progress from there?
Yeah, so essentially wholesaling, I'm gonna break this down as simple as I can, right? Because it is a simple process. Essentially, you're reaching out to a homeowner, you get going under contract with that homeowner, right? With intent to buy their property or to purchase their property from them. But essentially, you're not going to be the actual buyer of the property. You're going to assign that contract or the rights to that property over to an end buyer for a profit. And I always like to do an example and give a visual, right? So if a homeowner is you know, selling the property and you guys agree to a price of $100,000, I will go under contract directly with that homeowner, me and that homeowner, and I will gain equitable interest in that property. And what that equitable interest in that property does, it allows me to be able to market the property out to people, other investors who will pay cash for that property. So once I go under contract with that homeowner for $100,000, I can then market that property out for $120,000 to end buyers, right? To cash investors. And if I get under agreement from a cash investor to pay $120,000, then I get that in between profit of that $20,000 going in my pocket. So essentially, wholesaling is you're playing the middleman between a seller and a buyer and an investor, a cash investor. So that's the simplest way I can put it.
Yeah. And that's easily comprehensible for those who are listening on Wisdom, and even catching the replay, or if you're tuning in on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Ty is giving y'all a ton of jewels to literally get into the real estate game in one of the easiest ways, which is wholesale real estate investing. And so like Ty, talk to us about credit. We have a lot of guests that come on and talk about business credit. They talk about personal credit, making sure your credit is on point in order to purchase assets. Just like shout out to EYL with Earn Your Leisure, assets over liabilities. And when it comes to making sure your credit is right for real estate, do you need to have credit on point to go into wholesaling, or is it something that's not as imperative if you're not actually going to be managing the unit yourself?
Yeah, so to be completely honest, you do not need credit. You can have bad credit, no credit. There's nobody running your credit to perform these transactions, right? You don't need any credit. You don't need any experience. Obviously, not, I don't say prior experience, because obviously you need experience in the space to actually do the business and get the transactions done. But prior experience, you don't need to go get any licenses. You don't need to be a realtor. You don't need to get any certifications. All you need to do is understand the process and execute. But credit is important. I would say, you know, building credit is part of your personal development. I would throw that into there as well, because it's a form of discipline. Building credit and having good credit, that's a discipline tactic. So if you're disciplined in that space, then you'll be able to be disciplined in the entrepreneurial space and as far as your wholesaling business goes, right? So initially when I got started, my credit wasn't exactly where I needed it to be. And I'm full transparent. So my credit was around like a 660 or 670 or something like that. Now, it's not terrible, but obviously it's not the best, right? So over time, you know, you have to build that discipline in that space, because when you start building the business, you start making money, because wholesaling is going to start bringing a lot of money in a short period of time. So you being able to be disciplined on how to spend it, where to put it, and things like that is going to impact your business. But the credit part of it is very important when you want to get into, you know, acquiring properties for flicks and flips, and acquiring properties for rentals, and getting funding and things like that. At some instances and some points, it just all depends on what your exit strategies are and what your plans are later on down the line. But I would definitely correlate, you know, having the discipline to get your credit right with being an entrepreneur. But to get into the wholesale space, you don't need to have top-notch credit. You don't even have to utilize your credit at all.
That's good right there, King. Those are jewels. A lot of people that may be afraid that they have to have their credit at 800, high 700s to get into real estate. Ty is letting you all know there's no excuse, even for myself and others, to not be able to jump into the real estate industry and the real estate game. And so for our wisdom listeners, if you have any questions, again, for Ty, feel free to chime in. And also, we do have a question coming in for you, Ty. No question is too outrageous or too small. I know Ty will do his best to answer any questions that you all have, or even any comments. But one of our affiliate partners, Midnight Prayer Watch, has, what are some of the risks to become a wholesaler in such a volatile market? And how can one avoid a huge L if the market goes downhill? So similar to what we were talking about before, Ty, what would you say for the volatile market again?
Yeah, so as a wholesaler, I'll make this clear: you're not owning the property at all, right? You have the rights to the property, but the process is literally a 30-day process or less. It could be a little bit longer as well, from the time that you get the property under contract to the time that you actually close on the property and get that profit. So you're not actually dealing with the volatility of the market where you can take an L. So what really protects you? You're not taking any L's, to be completely honest. What really protects you is the agreement, your contract that you have in place with your seller. And the period that protects you is your due diligence period. So during your due diligence period, that's the time where you start showing and marketing the property out to your buyers, and your buyers go check out the property and do inspections and things like that. And at that point, if you find buyers, for example, that's not interested in the property, you have the full right to say, hey, Mr. Seller, the property is going to require a little bit more repairs than needed. We're no longer interested in the property, or we need to be at this price, right? And that kind of ties you and gets you out of that agreement with that seller without any repercussions. But as far as being in a volatile market, you want to be in highly competitive markets when it comes to the wholesaling space. Because I say this all the time. Like, when I first got started, I jumped into a market outside of Atlanta, which was 2 hours outside of Atlanta, where there wasn't much activity, right? You want to be in those markets where there are a lot of new builds, a lot of development, a lot of rehabs, a lot of renovations, right? But I jumped into a market that none of that was going on. So what you will experience if you do that, yes, you'll be able to go and get properties under contracts with sellers, but you won't be able to find the buyers to buy it. But if you go into a market where it's very competitive, there's a lot of activity, a lot of development, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get properties under contract. But just know, once you get a good deal under contract, you're going to be having a lot of buyers looking to buy those deals up off of you, so you'll be able to play in those playgrounds to get bigger profits. So to answer the question, the main thing to kind of mitigate your risk would be your contract and your due diligence period. But like I said, you're not actually owning that property, so you're not really taking any L's. The only L that you may take is you may lose some earnest money, maybe, right? And the earnest money can be $100, $500, $1,000. But if you terminate your agreement and let that seller know within the due diligence period that you're not looking to purchase that property anymore, then you won't forfeit your earnest money. So if you just understand the rules of your contract and of your agreement and of your paperwork, then you really won't take any L's. The only L's you might take is probably your pride, or you might waste your time. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you may give them an offer that's a little bit too high, and then your buyers don't want to take it. And then now you just wasted time trying to sell it and dealing with that seller. But as far as monetary L's, you won't take that much.
That's good. That's good right there. And that goes into play, excuse me, about having the right team too. I'm sure Ty, you're someone that coaches clients and even coaches some of your students on making sure that you are aligned in the right team or in the right circle. And so from other real estate investors that we've had on the show previously, they talk about you really are the success of your team. And so what key team members for someone that is just starting off or someone that's literally just getting their beak wet with a couple wholesale deals, what team members should you be keeping your eye out for? And also what team members should you be assembling to make sure you have the right deals coming your way?
Absolutely. So the first thing, like after you get a couple deals done under your belt, you know, what I did was on my first deal, after I closed my first deal, the first thing you want to outsource is your marketing. When I mean marketing, I mean if you're doing your cold calling, if you're doing SMS, if you're doing things like that. So we focus on cold calling these homeowners and getting them immediately. So we'll call them, hey, do you want to sell? Hey, do you want to sell? Hey, are you open to an offer? So that part of the game is more proactive versus reactive. So we're very aggressive when it comes to that, right? And that's what kind of set us up for success, right? We're the aggressive. We're not going to sit back and wait. No, we're going after it. We're hungry. We're hunting, right? So that's our mentality. And when it comes to the team members, once you start getting the money and the funds to kind of to pay and to pay someone's salary, the first person that I would recommend if you're doing cold calling would be to hire out somebody to do the cold calling for you. Because you want to keep that constant marketing in, and cold calling is not something that you want to do every day. That's something that you want to outsource. And to be completely honest with you, that's what changed the whole scope of our business, because once we outsource the cold calling, they are dealing with the people that's saying, F off, I don't want to sell, hanging up on them, stop calling me, do not call me anymore. They're the ones dealing with that, and they're only going to push over people to you that have some interest in selling, right? So that's the people you're going to be talking to, those warmer people, and building those relationships with people that are actually interested in selling their property. So that's where your time is valuable and most spent, you know what I mean, as far as getting deals done. So as far as cultivating and building your team, that first person I would probably recommend to hire out is the cold caller, because that changes the game. That keeps your marketing flow coming in. And then from there, you know, the building your team is very important. After that, I would say you want to hire somebody to handle the acquisition side. And what I mean by acquisition side, the person that's going to be doing the follow-ups to those leads, right? The people that's going to be reaching out to those warm leads and making offers, things like that. And you can kind of do the disposition side, which is the selling of the property and the marketing it out to the buyers and things like that. So primarily that marketing is kind of where you want to hire out first.
Yeah, that's good. That's good right there. That's walking good, dropping a ton of jewels about assembling the team, because we can't do all of the tasks that we want to accomplish as investors, entrepreneurs, or even those that are looking to just progress and establish a stable legacy for themselves. And so I know, Ty, a lot of people are probably asking or wondering, like, how much of a cut, or basically how much can you get off of certain deals that you've done at the beginning before you started getting the hang of it? And also, like, what's a good percentage that someone could expect to make off of the deals when properties are being sold?
Yeah, so it all depends usually, right? It depends on the deal, depends on you as an individual. For me, like, if we can make profit on the deal, we're taking it, right? So my very first deal, I made $3,000 profit off of it. My next deal, I made $1,000 off of it. The third deal, I made $7,600, and the deal after that, I made $17,000 off of it, right? So it just varies depending on you, depending on the buyers, depending on your offers. But right now, we're at a consistent flow of we're averaging probably about $16,000 per deal. There are some deals that we pop for $20,000. The biggest one that we've done so far is $48,000. And this all happens within, you know, a month's time, right? But that's from contract to close, but that's not including the time that it takes to actually cultivate those leads, follow up with those leads, and make your offers and build that relationship, because you have to constantly keep your pipeline going. People think, you know, the expectation is they see a video of Ty posting a $48,000 deal that he made, but they don't know what happened before that close, right? They don't know the work that kind of went into that in the background. So, you know, as far as money goes, it kind of varies. It depends on your market too. Here in Atlanta, kind of the average deal size is probably around like 18,000 per deal, but we're around that $16,000 mark once you start flowing.
Yeah, that's a good ballpark figure right there for those who are listening on Wisdom or those who are catching us with the podcast replay or our episode live stream. Yeah, Ty is giving y'all real numbers, not the inflated or hyper inflated numbers that you may see certain marketers on IG or on YouTube giving you. He's giving you real numbers, especially based here in Atlanta, where both of us are located at right now. And so, like, Ty, let's talk about like, where do you foresee the real estate market going? Because as you mentioned at the beginning, a lot of people have been projecting that there is going to be a crash still for this year or potentially next year at the latest. And so, like, what should investors or potential investors or upcoming investors be doing with their money right now in order to make sure that they can ride the wave when a crash inevitably happens, especially here in Atlanta or the South right now?
Yeah, I think right now, like, take advantage of the opportunities to capitalize on a market right now. That's the main thing, right? So people always worried about the future. Okay, that's cool, but sometimes people are putting, hey, I don't know if the market's gonna crash, whatever. I don't want to jump in, but I look at it different. I say, okay, the market hasn't crashed yet. Let me jump in here while I still have an opportunity, while the door is still cracked, to come in here and make my money, and then I can put that in other investment vehicles that are not market dependent on real estate, right? So you can put those in, you know, rental properties or cash flowing assets or certain things like that, where, you know, if something were to happen, you'll still be able to generate some property, some constant cash flow or constant money if that were to happen. So that's kind of what I would expect. I would expect, you know, people to start, you know, putting their money into different kind of vehicles, different industries at that point, starting new businesses, things along those lines.
Yeah, it can't be scared money doesn't make money, as the saying goes. And so we all have to be able to bet on literally what our goals and also what type of investments that we want to receive, the returns that we desire. Because again, scared money does not make money. Ty, let's talk about what I was also going to mention when it comes to some of the naysayers or doubters, whether it be family members, friends. We always talk about a lot of oppositions that you and other entrepreneurs and investors may have faced, either at the beginnings or even currently right now when it comes to a support system. We know how important the family dynamic is, and some friends may be just as close, if not more, family than our blood. And so, like, what type of oppositions did you face earlier on in your real estate journey? And then also, even currently, what are some of the oppositions that you are overcoming right now?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, like, you know, naysayers and things like that, like, one of the main things I would say is when you're starting out and you start seeing people on social media, they're doing their thing, and you're new, you're fresh, you're trying to learn. Some people, they learn by actually speaking to people. So you start trying to reach out to these people who are actually doing stuff, and they don't respond to you, right? So that's probably like one of the main things that I kind of faced on the front end, is like reaching out to people for assistance. You're asking the question, asking for guidance. It may not be asking for much, but they either leave you on red, they don't respond, or whatever the case may be, or they try to sell you something to tell you to F off, whatever the case may be. So that's probably like the main thing that I face now. When it comes to family and things like that, I've always had like the support of what I was doing. But, you know, as far as them really believing in me, you really have to, you have to show and prove, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's not about, you know, it's not about that, right? It's about what I can do. What am I doing for me? It's not what you're doing for them, right? It's just showing, proving. I'm really proving it to myself. I'm not proving it to anybody else, you know? So, The main thing is if you have a vision, you have a goal, you have a dream, you have something that you want to go and focus on and achieve and reach, the people in your immediate circle, they're not going to understand it. You know what I mean? They may 9 times out of 10, they're not. They're probably somewhere else in a different mental space. They probably want to be stuck in their ways. They probably want to still do the same thing that they've been doing for the past, yourself in a different space. And once you get to that space of success, they're gonna start believing you, they're gonna start trusting you, they're gonna start asking questions. And that's when you're there to help them out and kind of bring them along, put them in position, give them game and things like that. And that's kind of how I see it, right? I don't focus on the negative. I just do me. I focus on me. I stay in my lane. I know where I want to be in the next 5, 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. I see that vision. I know what I got to do to get there. And I just got to put in the work every single day. Anybody else that got some negative thing to say about it, they can just watch me win. That's how I look at it.
That's real. You got to turn those challenges, everyone that is listening, Smart Jewels, who are listening, into opportunities, is what Ty is literally teeing up and dropping jewels on, turning those challenges, those oppositions into opportunities and not excuses. And so, like Ty, we know the importance of mentorship and coaching. We talk heavily about the importance of having mentors, guides, and also coaches with our RTJ lifestyle show. Like, what are some of, or who are some of your mentors or coaches in the real estate industry? And why would you suggest that either newcomers that are new investors or even current investors who may not have solid coaching or mentors, what is the importance of having a mentor or a coach in the real estate industry?
Yeah. So I would say, so I have mentors that don't even know that they're my mentors. So, you see all these people on social media and things like that. So one of the people that I really like and admire, and he speaks a lot on mindset, is Nehemiah Davis. So he's one of the guys that I follow a lot as far as when I get my mind right, right? He talks from a business aspect, from a business sense. He's one of my mentors in that space. He doesn't know it. I don't pay for his mentorship, but I use it as mentorship, right? Because he's always posting about valuable information and things to kind of keep your mind right. Now, in terms of the real estate space, we recently just invested into mentorship and coaching from Tiffany and Josh High. They're big time in the wholesale real estate space. And, the reason why we invested in that is because we saw our operation, the way that we were operating, we were going to run into a wall at some point, right? It wasn't efficient. We were wasting a lot of time. We were spinning wheels. We were still getting deals done, but we weren't getting them done as consistently as we wanted it to. So we invested into their coaching program, and it was a pretty penny, but we have trust, faith, and confidence that we have the systems and processes and the mental space and mental capacity to execute and get that and to perform like they performing, right? They're doing millions of dollars a year in the same field, in the same space that we're doing. So we just duplicated the exact process that they got, because it's like, why reinvent the wheel if they're successful at doing it? Just implement what they're doing and you'll be successful. So the importance of mentorship is very important. Initially, when I first jumped into the game, I don't need a mentor, I don't need none of that. But sometimes you have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror, evaluate what you're doing, because, you can kind of get in your own way. So mentors are there to help guide you into the right way because they've already seen it, they've already done it, and it shortens up your learning curve, right? So instead of you going all the way around, they'll pull you in a straight line so you don't waste your time and deal with the nonsense that they dealt with. So I recommend mentorships now, especially now that I'm more focused on growing my business and expanding my business. I feel the need for it because everybody in the highest levels has mentors. Grant Cardone has mentors, right, that are doing better than him. You know what I mean? They may not be public or popular, but there's somebody that's in his corner that he's reaching out to for advice, for things like that, to grow and expand on his business. So mentors are very important for company growth.
No, that's real, King. We highly believe in investing, as you and your business partners did in your business, by soliciting mentorship and coaches and guides And even if you're a coach like myself and Ty, you're never too successful enough to go back and literally solicit help from someone who's at a higher level than myself and then Ty and then others. And so those are awesome jewels right there, Ty. And then the last part before we wind down for your final jewel, which is where we'll let you leave a final piece of wisdom with our audience this evening. Talk to us about why is it important for real estate investors to literally know what, let's say, what direction of real estate that they want to head in before they literally get into multiple parts of the real estate industry, sort of having more of a, let's say, a rabbit or a hare mentality versus a tortoise, where slow and steady, where you master one level of real estate and have the goals that you are able to accomplish checked off. Like, why do you think it's important to focus in really from the beginning on what are some of your benchmarks or what are some of your goals or your vision to be able to have real estate be a asset to you and also a part of your legacy? Why do you think goal setting is important?
Yeah, goal setting is important, man, because it gives you something to achieve, to shoot for, right? It gives you a target. So if you don't have a target, you're just throwing darts at nothing. So goal setting is important because it gives you tiers. Like, okay, I want to hit this amount. I want to hit this level. I want to do this. Now, once you hit those levels, then you can set another goal that's a little bit higher. So if you're just out here with no goals and no dreams, you're just, I got this quote from one of my mentors and coaches. He said, the wind blows a man with no direction, right? The wind blows a man anywhere with no direction. I fucked up the quote, but you know what I mean. So if you don't have any direction, then you're just going to be going all over the place. Essentially, what I'm trying to say. Okay. So you got to set your goals. You got to be like focused, because the goals is what's going to grow, is going to drive the growth. The goals is what's going to drive the revenue. The goal is what's going to drive the consistency. Because every single day when we come into work, we have goals that we're trying to reach. Every single morning, we meet with our team about numbers that we have to reach. Every single week, we review those numbers, right? And that's going to show us where we can get better, where we can improve. That's going to show us what's needed to hit a certain level, a certain benchmark. So goal settings are very important, and I highly recommend people to start doing it on a daily level.
Yeah, that's real. And especially so you don't be a hare versus a tortoise, literally being tossed to and fro from every real estate guru, every real estate influencer that we see, and literally going after so many forms of real estate. That's one of the biggest lessons I know that I've learned, in literally sticking with one level of real estate and putting all of your energy and effort into that, and then being able to pivot after you've seen success in that level of real estate. And so, Ty, I know we've come to the final jewel segment, where we allow you as our VIP guest to be able to leave a final thought or a final piece of wisdom with our audience. We've talked about your process and how you got into real estate. We've talked about literally the step-by-step process of how to get into wholesaling in real estate. And we've even talked about oppositions and different levels of, let's say, hateration and hate that you've experienced along the way. And so what would be a final jewel of wisdom that you want to leave with our listeners and our smart jewels?
Yeah, so everybody here has that entrepreneurial mindset or focus, right? So with that, the mindset is important. I think every single day, even before you jump into the entrepreneurial space, you have to shift your mindset, because you gotta change your way of thinking from before. So your mindset is very important before you jump into these things, because as an entrepreneur, there's going to be days where you're going to get punched in the mouth. There's going to be days where you don't feel like doing it. There's going to be days where the day is not going to go how you anticipated it's going to go. But if you have the right mindset and know that that's part of the journey to success, you embrace that, right? Be okay with that. Just live it. Be consistent at what you're doing. Just because today you don't get a deal, that doesn't mean tomorrow you don't get a deal. You know what I mean? Just because today you didn't make $1, that doesn't mean tomorrow you won't make $1 million or 100 or 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So, focus on your mindset, be consistent, be disciplined, because that's what's going to create results. If you're inconsistent, you're not disciplined, you're doing one thing today, you're not doing anything for another 3 days, then you're not going to see the results like you want. So the main things I like to leave to people is, you know, just stay consistent, and then you're guaranteed to win, and don't quit. You know, as soon as you decide to quit, there's no way, you're not giving yourself any chance to win. So as soon as the day you decide to quit, it's over. You can't win if you quit. So that's just, you know, my little tip that I like to give to people.
No, that's real right there, King. Stay disciplined and stay focused, and see it all the way through is a jewel in itself that Ty is dropping. Ty, where can those who are listening and those who are going to be watching your replay episode, how can they tap in with you, connect with you, and even but possibly become even a client or a student under you and also your team in learning about wholesale real estate? Where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm very, very, very active on Instagram. So you guys can reach me on Instagram at Ty the Investor. That's TYTHEINVESTOR. I post a lot of tips, a lot of game on my social media page pretty much every single day. So as a beginner, I'm very, you know, beginner friendly. So I like to get people in the game. I like to start people out. I make the process very simple so people can understand. So you guys can check me out on Instagram, send me a DM, let me know that you came from the Jewelz podcast, and we'll set something up, man.
Absolutely. And so we put it on the screen for those who are watching our live stream. Definitely go and support Ty at Ty the Investor on IG. And then even Ty, we listed too, our team was on point researching you. They put your website too at www.ty10k.com. That's ty10k.com. And go and support Ty and all that he's doing, especially in the real estate industry as a whole, but specifically in wholesaling. And so, Ty, it's been a pleasure serving with you, King. What we always do for the end of the episode, we say a special blessing and a special prayer over any of our guests that come on the show. And so I'm going to say a quick blessing and prayer over you, King, and then let you enjoy the rest of your evening with us. Father God, I just want to thank you for Ty. We thank you for what he is doing just to be able to educate our people and also people at large and why they need to be able to bet on themselves and also bet on real estate, which is a tried and true asset that has been tried through the test of time. We thank you for him opening up doors, opening up eyes and ears to see that there's no excuse of why you cannot start with wholesaling and even just start in real estate investing. We thank you for his family and also for his legacy that he's building for his children and his children's children. And we thank you for all of the mentors and guides that you have sent his way, Father. We thank you for all of the success of his business and pray that you will send him new opportunities and even new students and new clients just from him sharing his message here on the RTJ show this evening. And we love you, Abba. We praise you, and I give you all the glory. And it's in Yahshua HaMashiach, the Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
We appreciate you, Ty. Feel free, those who are listening to the replay, feel free to sow a seed with us. There's 3 ways to sow. You can go on the comments or you can cash app us at $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ. That's SMART, SMART, JEWELZ to sow a seed. No seed is too small or too large to sow. If you've enjoyed the jewels that Ty has been able to drop this evening, you can become a monthly Patreon with us also if you consider rocking with us. And shout out to all of our jewels at the bottom of the screen who have sown into us for season 4. We could not have made this show a success without you all. And so, Ty, it's been a pleasure serving with you, King. Thank you again for all that you're doing. I know we'll be in touch. Go and follow Ty at Ty the Investor on IG, and also go and track with Ty and literally partner with him at ty10k.com. We'll be in touch, King. Be safe, stay hydrated, and we'll talk soon, King. Peace.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, man. All right, y'all. I'm going to give some final jewels for thought to recap our episode. We appreciate those listeners on Wisdom, even on Clubhouse if you're catching the replay, or even if you're listening to our podcast episode live. You just heard from my very special guest, Ty Franklin, who is a real estate investor and is literally certified in wholesaling. And so hopefully you were able to get some inspiration and motivation to get off the sidelines, because there is no excuse to not be getting in any form of real estate investing. Again, there's no excuse. There's so many different ways to, again, invest in real estate and to even make money through the assets or acquisition of real estate. Even if it's they even have virtual real estate now that you can get in the meta universe. And so the game has definitely changed with even digital real estate. And so you have no excuse. I have no excuse. And Ty even inspired me to make sure that we are all literally getting our eggs in a row, dotting our I's and stacking up our bread to be able to fund our real estate endeavors. And so hopefully you've been blessed by tonight's episode. We're going to show you quickly what we're doing for the end of this season as we continue to wind down. We're on the horizon with our 200th episode, you all. And so I'm excited to see what we are going to be doing as we go into our 200th episode soon. So y'all take a look and see what are some of our updates for the RTJ podcast show. So there's 3 levels of sponsorship that we have for our podcast show. You can literally click on the link that's in the comment section to partner with us as an affiliate partner or as a business partner. And so you can reach new audiences by having your brand, your business, your service or product advertised with a sponsorship ad spot on our podcast show. And you can go to www.smartjewelzenterprises.org. That's smartjewelzenterprises.org to again help have us help you reach new audiences, and also to help you get your podcast show created or your live stream show off and running. We do offer services and podcast show creation and live stream hosting and creation services. So go and take a look at what we do. Also, don't be that fool that has the water balloon crash in your face when it comes to your finances. We do financial freedom coaching and consulting. And so we have right now 60% off of our online courses that we offer for financial freedom for those who are looking to get out of debt in order to build wealth, and also to get out of debt just to build a financially free legacy for you and your family tree and your children's children. Definitely go to www.smartjewelzenterprises.org in order to sign up for one of our summer and one of our upcoming classes, or to partner with us as a client with our coaching and consulting. Our 200th episode is on the way, you all. We're going to be highlighting all of what we've been able to do for the last 3 seasons and telling you about the beginnings, telling you where we're at currently, and also literally declaring where we are going. I'm excited for all the highlights that we have coming. with our team that we're cooking up right now. And so you want to stay tuned. On May 3rd, we will be locked and loaded for our 200th episode commemorative celebration, which is powered by the Smart Jewelz Network and Smart Jewelz Enterprises. Stay locked and loaded with us each and every Tuesday. Listen to our podcast episodes that we've been releasing from season 1 all the way to season 3 on any podcast or music streaming platform. Just search for the Run the Jewelz podcast show and you'll see the image on the screen, hosted by yours truly, King Jewelz, Julian Smartrimple, and you'll be able to hear all of the jewels of wisdom that our guests have dropped from season 1 all the way now to season 4. We focus on 3 pillars: personal development, financial freedom, and health and wellness. And so if you are needing to be, again, inspired or motivated to shine bright in any of those 3 core areas, especially, make sure you follow us and subscribe to our podcast on all podcast platforms. Those are all of my final jewels for thought. Stay tuned till next week. You all shine bright like the bright diamond jewel you've been created to be, because someone needs to see and feel the light that is within you in order to come out of a dark period or a darkness that they may be trapped in. But you have to open your mouth and speak like a king or a queen should. Those are all of my jewels for thought. King Jewelz is signing off for tonight. Stay hydrated, stay tuned, and stay blessed. Peace.